This essay example, as well as thousands of others, is available in text format on our website for free and without registration. Simply Google Ivy Panda Free Essays.
Workplace ethics refers to moral principles and values governing proper behavioral conduct in the place of work. Work ethics guide managers and employees to do the right thing even if doing the wrong thing can equally be rewarding and satisfying. Therefore, workplace ethical issues involve a plethora of ethical dilemmas and ethical abuses that come into play in any job. An ethical issue is defined as an illegal, unethical, or irresponsible act made against the employer and it jeopardizes the employer's business. Ethical issues arise when workers, including managers and subordinates, are given the responsibility of making decisions about alternative courses of action. This paper discusses a few ethical issues that arise in the workplace. Harassment of coworkers or clients is one of the significant workplace ethical issues involving violating the employer's workplace ethics policy. Harassment in any workplace may involve unsolicited sexual advances, interferences with work performance through intimidation, or noncompliance with work conditions. Sometimes illegal harassment can be based on sex, religion, age, disability, race, or color. Johnson provides that harassment does not only involve a violation of business ethics, but also involves a breach of federal laws. Sexual harassment is a common ethical issue many workers experience at their workplaces, and it is propagated by both the management and regular employees. Basically, sexual harassment of any nature makes the workplace hostile and causes distress among sexually abused employees. According to Bredeson and Goree, the most common ethical issue within sexual harassment is a dual relationship that involves sexual relationships between employees who share professional responsibilities. Furthermore, sexual harassment occurs when employees engage in unethical intimate relationships, affecting their professional decision-making process. Consensual relationships at the workplace between a senior employee and a junior employee can become dangerous. This may happen because a senior employee has more authority to affect the functional ability of the junior employee if their intimate relationship breaks. However, if this happens, the subordinate should report the act to the relevant authorities because it is improper for any person to use his or her authority to demand favors or create a hostile work environment. Therefore, it is advisable to avoid consensual relationships with coworkers to combat ethical dilemmas and workplace distress. Substance abuse is another ethical issue that crops up in many workplaces. It may involve dependence on stimulating substances such as alcohol and other addictive intoxicating drugs. Addiction to any substance becomes a workplace ethical issue when either a manager or a regular employee's work performance and productivity are impaired until they use the substance. Alcohol is the most abused substance, and when employees carry alcohol to workplaces or use it in the workplace, it raises serious ethical questions. Generally, substance abuse can be a serious ethical issue if not handled with care, since it can create a hostile work environment and consequently jeopardize the productivity and performance of the entire workforce. In addition, confidentiality is a workplace ethical principle that becomes a familiar ethical issue when it is violated. For instance, the disclosure of an employee's personal information or the employer's business strategy to rival organizations is a major violation of workplace ethics. Actually, protecting the employees from privacy invasion creates trust and perhaps increases their productivity. However, when confidentiality is violated, profound ethical implications may occur, which affect the business negatively. Work ethics require that the client's private information or the coworker's personal information be accessed by authorized individuals only. Conflict of interest is another common workplace ethical issue. It refers to a situation whereby an individual's interests affect or influence his or her workplace judgment, actions, or decisions. Conflicts of interest are virtually unethical and illegal because they negatively affect workplace performance, the decision-making process, and relationships with other participants. Conflict of interest is a serious ethical issue which should be avoided or resolved immediately, it appears, because it may result in professional misconduct in the workplace. Despite workplace ethical issues being endless, organizations can devise moral or ethical policies to protect their employees from ethical violations. For instance, an organization can develop a workplace policy-based mission, vision, and code of conduct and ensure that each employee understands the code of ethics. In addition, the organization can provide workplace ethics training for employees, create a legal office to deal with employees' ethical issues, and research all federal and employment laws relating to whistleblowing to avoid making decisions that lead to negative ethical implications. Conclusion. In summary, ethical issues exist in almost every workplace because workers often face situations that involve ethical dilemmas. Moreover, when ethical issues are not resolved in time, they result in a hostile work environment, making it harder for the employees to give their maximum potential. Thus, it is imperative for employers to respond appropriately to every ethical issue that arises in the workplace to make the workplace safe and friendly. Did you like this workplace ethical issues sample? To get more works like this one, make sure to check out the database of academic paper examples at ivpanda.com. You will find thousands of samples for all your study needs.